All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and for requesting the happiness assessment. Um, I really appreciate you wanting to improve your joy, especially after experiencing sexual abuse or trauma. So that's what this is about. If you're in the wrong place, then do what you need to do. If you have not actually downloaded and printed out, I mean, ideally, printing it out is going to help you a lot, but the happiness assessment is what we're going to go over today. And if you haven't actually received it, it comes in your email. You need to go to findjoybeyondtrauma.com and get your free copy of this. So once you have that, I will be here. You can either pause and come back, or if you're watching us live, well, catch up to us on that. And thank you for being here. So this is 25 points that over a period of 4 years, I worked with. I specifically interviewed over 100 people from all cultures, ethnicities, ages, religions. There wasn't any exclusive taking on who I was going to talk to. It was really actually who was willing to speak with me about trauma, sexual trauma, specifically sexual abuse, and personal experience on that, whether they firsthand or whether it was in their family or, yeah. So over that period of 4 years, I wrote the book, Finding Joy Beyond Trauma. And I spoke to countless groups, did a lot of facilitating of empathy circles using nonviolent communication. And again, over that period of 4 years, I distilled for myself, because I was going through my own healing journey, distilled for myself these 25 points. Now, Finding Joy Beyond Trauma, the book covers everything in depth, but this assessment was a starting point. And I think that it's valuable for anyone. It is a starting point, but it is just as relevant for me 10, 12 years after starting that process. And I think it will be relevant to you. And I think it's also a great adjunct to homeschooling teens. And then especially, we live in a time now, you know, I'm filming this in a time when we're experiencing the COVID pandemic, and the world is in a lot of crisis and chaos, and as a result it's trickling down into communities, and then it's trickling down into families, and we're seeing that then, of course, then where is it going to finally stop? Within the individual. So this piece around happiness it's a little bit harder, and when we're faced with this type of crisis, it's not the dinosaur or saber-toothed tiger, it's now you know, a virus, but it's also more the memes, the viruses of the mind that have taken over, and we have to put boundaries up. And that's a big part of what this is about, but I want to go over these with you. So if you've already printed it out, awesome, come back and let's go through this. You're going to use this. I believe it will help you for your lifetime. So the first one is having clear boundaries in your relationships, in your career, in your life, and confidently standing your ground in them. The way I have this assessment set up is I'm just asking you a yes or no. And you're asking yourself, right? Do I have clear boundaries? And if you don't know what boundaries are, this is a really important delineation for you to investigate and really understand what boundaries are for yourself, especially if you have teens. Teaching them boundaries, actually, I don't think there's an age limit. We can learn, we have to learn them from childhood, but some boundaries have been skewed, and so you have to look on that. And then as we go through, you'll see how the boundaries can be fine-tuned here. The second one, eating regular, nourishing meals in a relaxed and peaceful manner and environment. This goes a long way in the framework of happiness. There's a lot of studies that show people who are eating in anxiety, you could be eating the healthiest food in the world, and you're eating it in a state of stress, grief, upset at a dinner table where everybody has the phone, or they've just had a fight, and you get indigestion. And so that's not something you want to do. That's something you want to be aware of, and then you want to course correct on that. Practicing daily gratitude and appreciation in thought. So the thoughts you're thinking, in word, how you're speaking to yourself as well as to your others, your close loved ones, as well as to people that are maybe you don't know them, the store clerk or the mailman. And in deed, in action, whether you're writing a journal or whether you're expressing your thoughts or your words aloud with a thank you or an appreciation or a letter or a kind gesture. That's a beautiful component towards your route to happiness and bringing happiness very quickly. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people and living in a positive, supportive environment. Another beautiful one. I have a very dear friend who practices and teaches feng shui, and bringing that component into my home and household and seeing how the house really does impact your well-being, especially now we're all sequestered in our homes, we are working from home, we're doing everything pretty much now from home. What is that environment looking like? Is it supportive of you, for you, to you, of you? Do you look around and is it beautiful, or is there disharmony? Is there clutter and chaos? And all of that is taking away from your ability to experience joy. So when we go through these, this isn't to look at, oh my gosh, how bad things are or how good things are. I mean, you definitely want to be observing so that you can see that, but it's not about judging. It's more about, oh, okay, what can I do to take action? And as we get through these, it's actually a super fast and simple yes, no process, but I'm taking my time with this. And then as you get to the end, I'm going to go through with how you can actually take the next action, which will be super simple. It's not a sales pitch. Take the next action for yourself, okay? All right, so I'm going to get a sip of drinking maca. So this maca root, I just thought, oh, okay, I'm going to try maca because I try to get it into other foods. And then I have this huge bag of it. And I thought, well, why don't I just start drinking tea, because I drink so much tea, and it's actually very good. So I just took some hot water and some maca and stirred it, and it's really good. Maca, M-A-C-A, is purported to help with anxiety, depression. What it does to regulate the hormones is also very beneficial. So there you go, a little tip from me. Okay, clear about what you value, your desires, your goals, and you're consciously living by your values, and you move actively towards your goals and your desires. That's foundational. Being tuned in, knowing what your values are, and on a daily basis, reminding yourself, reading them the first thing in the morning, getting plugged back into your values, your desires, your goals, so that you know the actions you're taking are aligned with your values, are moving you towards your goals and your desires. All right, and this next one, feeling safe and secure. So a feeling is really a state. So feeling confident, feeling energized, feeling safe, feeling even happy. These are states of being, not necessarily doing. So the practice that I talk about in the book, Finding Joy, is that the practice of feeling safe after you've got the physical universe components, environment, situation handled, that it's a state that you have to practice. Because if you've been addicted, like for example with me, I had a perpetual state of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, so PTSD, going on a regular basis. If I smelled a certain smell, when I was married, if we had sex, I would go into a PTSD anxiety attack, because it would trigger the sexual abuse from the previous sexual abuse that I had had. So That's what I'm talking about when we have a state, but that is no longer, so we want to differentiate this. If you have a feeling, if you are in a situation where you are not safe right now, that's called an emergency and you have to handle that, right? But if, and by the way, if you do, please go get that handled. Please call your authorities. Do what you need to do. Do not continue being in an environment that is dangerous to you, your children. Don't do it. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there, and then I'll say this. So we're feeling a feeling state. All right, so for example, using these components that you've got a safe environment now, and let's say the incident, the trauma happened 6 months ago, a year ago, 6 years ago, 60 years ago, but something triggers you and that immediately makes you feel unsafe, makes you feel insecure. We know that that is a deeper piece, and so we have to use tools. I could list a whole list of specific tools that you would use, emotional freedom technique being one. It's free. I've got lots of videos on that, and there's scads of videos out there. So that's a super easy one, free, that you can use. Some people don't love it, so I've got another 50 tools that you could use. But the point is, it's a feeling, and the next few, we're going to talk about this. So I want you to differentiate between, look, if you're not safe, you need to handle the environment so that you're safe. If you are feeling unsafe and insecure because of a re-stimulation or because you are triggered again, then you would use tools to shift the feeling. You wouldn't stay in the feeling, especially if it is irrational, okay? So it took me years, literally decades, to clear the feeling of being unsafe and insecure with my intimate partner, with my husband. And so I didn't have tools. I didn't have these. I hadn't done this work. So now I have tools that I was able to break through. And from the time I started using those tools, from the last time that I had a major terror, anxiety attack in an intimate, and basically having sex with my safe partner until it was completely healed, was under 6 months. And that's profound after having a lifetime of anxiety and severe anxiety. So that's what I'm talking about there. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. Spending less than 5 hours a week watching commercial TV, the news, or on social media combined. Studies show that when you are spending time on social media, watching the news, watching commercial TV, you are being bombarded with messages of not good enough, because why? They're trying to sell you something, of not being worthy, of not looking right. So basically a disconnection from your wholeness. And so that's something you're going to have to look at and address. So we bring that up and take a look at that. Okay, listening to your appetite and eating only when you're hungry. This is a key piece, especially because I've been in the health and fitness industry since I was very young. My mother had bouts with gaining and losing, yo-yo dieting, etc. And so I learned that as a child, and going through that whole process, and countless clients, and then people that I've spoken with through interviewing this have issues with food. We don't need to go into all of that. A lot of times people will gain weight so that they are protecting themselves, etc. So this listening piece, that's not with your ears necessarily, right? That's right. We're tuning in and we're listening. We're feeling your appetite. What are you really needing? Are you really hungry? And if you are, then you would eat and nourish yourself, like we talked about in the previous one. Drinking plenty of water and limiting your intake of alcohol and caffeine. Okay, I think that's common sense. We could go into it deeper, but for this, let's go on to this one. When you experience bad news, you can feel empathy and understand and express this clearly, then you can easily come back to the present and move forward without lingering negative thoughts about the incident. We're all needing to practice that now because it's very easy to get triggered. We're, again, those messages. So there's where that 5 hours of, you've got to limit and put your boundaries on that. See how all of this is kind of coming together. Knowing what's most important for you to have your attention on. Do you know what you need to be having your attention on right now? And are you focusing your attention on it? I'll have clients who have kids and a business. And when they're working on their business, they're worrying about their kids. And when they're with your kids, they're worrying about their business. So that has to get fixed as the number one thing. When you need to be in the moment, be present with what you are doing from a conscious place, from an intentional place. If you are a mom of an infant or a toddler's, that's probably first priority. So you put first things first, right? I love Stephen Covey's work with first things first, and really focusing on that kind of ties into that. So focus your attention on that. Doing some form of regular exercise that you enjoy, that gets your heart moving and your breath moving at least 30 minutes a day. Now, this does not mean going and running for 30 minutes. It could, but for me, this is what mine looks like. In the morning, I do 6 minutes of yoga. So it's an active yoga practice. I do another 6 minutes of a qigong practice, moving in my breath. And then I will do 5 or 6 minutes of dancing with my boys, and then we'll go for a walk. So it's broken up throughout the day. It's not a 30-minute go to the gym to get my workout, check it off my list, and then sit for the rest of the day. So that's something that I would like you to look at. And we've taught, me being in the fitness industry for years, I was like, okay, got to go get your workout. It's an hour workout and sweat it out. That's not necessary. The body's meant to move regularly, not just for a short period of time and then be done sedentary. So think about that, see if that helps. Okay, maintaining a healthy weight. So do you maintain a healthy weight for your body type and for you to feel good about your body and the way you look? I know we have major judgments going on. I have a very different body type than many, but what's interesting is I was 45 pounds overweight after my first son was born, and then I was 60 pounds overweight after my second son was born. And overweight, I mean, I had newborn babies, right? I was nursing and I was like wearing 14 and I wear 4 and 6 now. So, but at that time I felt right. And yes, I knew it was going to take me some time to release that weight. But you have to feel good in your weight, in your body. What does that feel good for you, for what you're doing, you know? Yeah. So the next one is, do you know your purpose in life? Are you clear about your gifts and your talents? And are you being well paid for sharing these gifts? And are you sharing them in a positive, constructive way? I love this one. This is a whole component of work that I do with clients because it ties right into this. A lot of us who have experienced, I don't know if you've experienced this as well, where you may have experienced words during the sexual abuse, the trauma, like, you're no good, you're such and such, you are negative, negative, negative. And so when the trauma is going on and you're in the middle of that trauma, your heightened sense, your subconscious is recording everything. And now it is basically laid down in your subconscious mind, all of that data, all of that information, the smells, the taste, the feeling, the sensation, the sweat, everything, every sense, more than 5 senses, okay? The temperature, the sound, every little nuance is recorded. Remember, your subconscious is recording everything all the time. Science shows this. There is a layer of recording that's going on. When it is below our conscious level and understanding, like in a trauma, like in being unconscious, like being drugged, like being half asleep, it goes into a deeper level. It's like programming your brain. You're being programmed when you're sitting there in hypnosis, hypnotic state. TV, same thing, right? Okay. And just being programmed there. So that then rears its head in your life sometime later. I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me before he was a client. He came to my door of my office, and he was in his 60s. And his first question to me was, do you think this was, he said, I heard your podcast. I saw you on such and such. Do you think is related to when I was raped when I was 18 years old? 40 years before, 41 years before. Now he knew, because I could look in his eyes and go, I could feel he knew. And it was the first moment that he woke up and went, oh, now I can see that trigger and that correlation. And that, by the way, is the first step. Finding joy beyond trauma's first step, awareness. So when you're aware that is a pattern, that there's a subconscious there, you can start looking at things and stepping back and going, whoa, I am okay, my body's triggered right now. I'm having this sensation. I'm not going to do any actions that have repercussion or long-term effect right now. Or I'm not going to make any decisions based on any long-term consequences right now, because I am in a triggered state. Whoa, right? So we want to be aware of it and then take some steps. So the next thing, and this directly ties with our financial pieces. So if you're experiencing financial success without compromising your integrity or sacrificing yourself or your other parts of your life, awesome. If you're not, that's something that you would want to get handled as part of the process, just towards your happiness, right? Are you getting restful, deep sleep each night? And are you waking refreshed? There is nothing better to me than deep, delicious sleep and waking up well rested. It's bliss to me. So I did not always experience that. I had horrific nightmares, horrific hallucinations, to the point where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see people and scream out. So if you are not getting the sleep you need, these are things that you can do to get help with that. Simple, non-drug. This is the first thing that I did. I did silent meditation and breathing before I went to sleep, and I began a frequency training. So frequency is essentially bringing, everything's an energy, vibration, frequency, right? You can see me in these pixels coming through the screen, and you're seeing me live, or you're seeing a recording. All of this is energy, right? So what happens when we sleep is our subconscious and our brain and our spirit and our body and all of it can actually process things that we were not able to process in the day, in our life, in the week before, in whatever. So in our childhood. So they're getting processed while you sleep. And sometimes it's unbearable. And so we have nightmares and experiences that are uncomfortable. And if you can understand that and you're aware that that's processing, you're processing, you don't have to be afraid of that. I was very afraid of going to sleep. I didn't want to sleep. I couldn't sleep without the lights being on. And this is in my adult stage. This is adulthood, not just when I was a child. And so it's these are things we don't normally talk about in general. Like, you wouldn't know. I never knew that other people had these experiences until I talked to hundreds of people. I thought I was the only one who was this dirty, disgusting human being who was tainted and no longer good, like, soiled goods. And I had no idea until I was in my 30s that didn't define me, and that there were other people, and that it wasn't my fault, and I wasn't alone. So when you get that after being told that it's your fault, you're dirty, you're awful, and all of this, and you are able to shift that, that's part of the process. You can see the sleep has to happen so that you can process through things. So getting nourishing sleep. I was taking calcium, magnesium before bed. I was making sure I had my B vitamins, B1 specifically. B1 helps with nightmares. I think most people are not getting good nutrition. So that's why on this is nutrition is crucial so that your body can process, so that your brain body can process the trauma, the stress. And you know, we've got a world right now full of this stress, and we just keep feeding more of the stress factors in our system, and we don't allow it to process. So no wonder people are having sleep issues. But that's something we've got to get handled. So the thing that I would do is a digital shutdown. I do a digital shutdown in my home at 5 p.m. We do calm, fun, joyful. We're laughing at least 3, 4, 5 times. We'll play charades or something, and we'll have a nourishing, calm meal. And everybody will have what we call baby calm. It's basically calcium, magnesium. I've been using this forever. Peter Gillam's baby calm. It helps that central nervous system. And sometimes I will make, when it's a little cooler, we'll make coconut milk with turmeric and ginger, and it's very settling. And then doing the meditation. So I will also do chanting sounds. So vagal nerve, very soothing. What else right off the top that I can just share with you? And then just having a really calm bedroom. Shouldn't have any digital devices in your bedroom, not in the kids' bedroom for sure. Clean, uncluttered bedrooms, not with a lot of stuff in there. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. Do you know each role that you have? When I say that, I mean, you know you have a role if you're a mom, if you're a wife or a business owner, or you're a friend. And so what's that role? I remember when I would talk to my dad as I was older, and I asked him, who's my best friend, my mentor, my teacher, but he would also say, okay, so who do you need? What do you need right now? Do you need me to be a friend, or do you need me to be your father? And when he would step into the father role, there was a different energy because it was a protector, but it was also that allowing me to fly with my own wings. And then as a friend, he would give me just, my God, the most wise advice. And I just aspired to be a parent like he was to me. Just amazing human being. So for you, what are your roles as a wife or a friend or a business worker? And how do you need to show up? How do you need to show up in your energy, in your identity, right? There's a great book called Alter Ego. Remember the author, but he talks about how he walks in the door from being at the office and being intense at the office, and he walks in the door and he has, like, he takes off his hat or he takes off whatever it was and he puts it there, and that is leaving it at the door, and then he walks in and he's present and he's dad to his precious children and his beautiful wife, and comes in and he doesn't bring all that stuff in, and and I think that's vital. I think we need to have those transitions. And if you need a longer transition than just hanging stuff on the door, then, use that, build that in. We don't have the transitions now because we're just at home. So we don't have the transitions of being able to shut our work down and then go to the car and drive or something, So you're going to have to build your own transitions in there. Okay. Do you have realistic and achievable goals with measurable results, and do you break these goals down into doable action steps? Can you easily change course when you see it's not a positive or productive path for you? This is a really hard one for me. I'm like a dog with a bone with certain things, and I'm working on this one. Do you know that you are valued, that you're worthy, and that you're recognized? Now, this is another one that's very subjective, and it's like the feeling one. I feel secure, I feel safe. knowing empirically that you are valued, worthy, and recognized. This is profound. This took me so long to get. And I still have to do the exercise to get to that space. It's like unconditional love for yourself. It's unconditional worthiness, that you are worthy without having to do this, or worthy without having to, no wrinkles or no gray hair or and so that's it's the depth of worthiness. That's not the superficial stuff that we see rampant, right? And you wouldn't be watching this if that's what you were after. Okay. Do you know how to get through a bad situation without making it worse? And do you use positive skills for getting through crisis situations and overwhelming circumstances? This is another really, really good one. And I talk about this, and when we do the workshop, we talk about this one specifically because having tangible, like really go-to exercises you can do, tools that you can implement when that situation comes up is really helpful. So knowing how to get through a bad situation without making it worse and using positive skills for getting through the crisis situation and the overwhelming circumstances is different than actually doing it, right? Because we can know how to get through it. I certainly know how to get through a crisis situation, and I've gotten much better at implementing it. But what's required is practice. And what's interesting is you don't have to have a crisis to practice handling situations. You can use these micro moments, because every moment we have an opportunity to pivot and react or create more space from that stimulation reaction to, ooh, let me think about this, and or even just step back and look at, how do I want to create? And this goes back to the hat you're wearing in that moment. What's the effect that I need to create? Sometimes I need to be a little bit more, I don't want to say rough with my boys, but firm. And normally it's all good. But sometimes there's times where I know that I need to make a more firm stance. And so I need to bring it in my energy as a firm guide for them, as opposed to a loving, kind, supportive mom. I need to be more of a firm teacher. And so there's a different hat that I'll wear. And when children, especially now, where they are out of their element, they're being in false stress situations. It's actually very stressful not to have connection, not to have touch, not to be with their friends. Very stressful, especially, so we as parents, as adults in their lives, have to be able to help them do these crisis situations and the overwhelming circumstances we all find ourselves in, and how can we do this? I'm going to give you some tools before we end. Only 4 more to go. Do you know how to self-soothe, and do you have the skills to soothe each of your 5 senses and use these rather than an external influence to try to, quote unquote, feel better? This goes really deep. We know we'll use food, sex, video games, you name it. I mean, it could be innocuous. It could be, you go and escape by doing art. And so if you're using those as skills and tools to self-soothe, that's awesome. But if it's a way to escape and avoid, it's going to sooner or later come back and bite you. I promise. I've seen it countless times. I've not seen it any other way than sooner or later it's going to come back and get you. If you're consciously making the choice to, okay, I need to back out of this situation right now, and you inform the family, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to go take a bath to soothe my senses right now, because I am like on fire and ready to scream at all of you. So I'm not going to do that. I probably wouldn't say all that, but I would definitely say, like, okay, Mama needs the peace chair right now, and I'm going to go and meditate, or I'm going to go and do an Epsom salt bath. And my boy is old enough now. I mean, I was doing it since 10 and 8. They knew water was very soothing for me. And that was one thing my younger son loved as well. So he could play If he was upset, I knew I could just get water out, even dishes, like, oh, let's clean this and soap, and that would calm. That was a soothing way so that we could then come back and talk about, okay, here's what we do. Because when you're in a situation that's right up in your face and you try to, let's get this handled, that's not going to get it handled. It's just going to make it worse. So you want to come back to that space where you are calm and can use that. Okay. So I like this one, but some people, so take it or leave it. Do you have a higher power? Do you follow, or I'll say, or do you follow a personal practice? I say spiritual practice. Do you practice something like this daily? Meditation, yoga, chanting, prayer, what was it, ecstatic dance, or things like that, journaling, etc. I think this is crucial in our lives. It could even be just walking in nature. Even if you are an atheist, you don't believe in any higher source, go walk in nature and breathe in and just stand. When I took my boys to the Redwood Forest, the national park, the Redwoods, the redwoods were bigger than my van. And we would get out and stand among them and just walk among them. And you couldn't help, whether you believe in any higher source, you just could. It was so healing. So nature could be another one just for you. Do you have a mutually supportive member? Oh, no, actually, this is different. Are you a mutually supportive member of a positive support system? So we go into this deep again on the exercises when I do it in the course, but mentoring, being a mentor to someone, having a mentor, having someone that you're mentoring someone below you, essentially. I don't like using below like hierarchy, but someone who hasn't been where you are, someone who needs a mentor. Do you have someone who is a mentor who can pull you up? It's like this, right? We're going up and we have reinforcements. And then we have someone at our level cheering us on. You can do this, right? That's really what I mean when I say, are you a mutually supportive member of a positive support system? I think this is missing in our world in such a profound and big way. I'm trying to fill it in a way, but I'm still, there's a little bit of a push and pull here, or like because I'm naturally introverted, I will hide and I'll think I'll be uncomfortable. I want to help, but at the same time, I don't want to be attacked. And it's inevitable that people attack you for your opinions, unfortunately, but that's okay. And so I'm here saying this, and I want to create a support system. And if I'm not the right support system in whatever capacity level, then you create one, you find one, you build one. Because I guarantee in your circle, you are needed in that way to mentor someone and to be mentored by someone and to be co-creating in that collaboration. When you do that, there is a synergy that's profound. It's like the mastermind. There's different principles of the mastermind, but that's the concept, right? And then creating that support system within those circles, it's so profound and so healing and invaluable. Okay. Do you know how to use the power of forgiveness? And when you forgive, are you reclaiming your power? Your power to choose, and can you forgive yourself as well as others? My dear friend Moni Castaneda and I did a profound, intense course called The Path to Forgiveness. We've since, what did I say, shelve it? We put it away. It's kind of in the archives. But the work that brought up and out for so many is significant. So forgiveness is not, I had it wrong. and I was taught it incorrectly. Forgive the perpetrator. You need to forgive the perpetrator. This is what I was preached at. Forgive that perpetrator. All it did inside of me was make me so resentful, so angry. And eventually it internalized. So I internalized all of that negativity, all of that resentfulness, all of that sense of betrayal and sense of that. And that is harmful. Forgiveness is for you. It's for you to reclaim your power. It has nothing to do with that perpetrator. If that perpetrator is a criminal and should be in jail, for God's sakes, it should be. Okay? That's what has to happen. Do that. It's not about, oh, you need to forgive. And it's not about going and, oh, I forgive you. You have nothing. You owe nothing to the perpetrator. You owe it to yourself to forgive yourself and reclaim your power. And it's not what we think. So that's, but it's a huge piece because it nearly killed me, literally, because I was preached at constantly that I had not forgiven the perpetrator, and therefore I was still in all the suffering, and I would never stop suffering until I forgave that perpetrator. Bull roar. Okay? Reclaim your power. There's honest and good ways to forgive. Let's really make sure you understand that. Okay, so it only takes a couple minutes to actually go through this whole assessment. And then when you do, I have you go through and tally up your results, and then we work through some things. I'm going to wrap this up here, but I want you to know a couple of other things. And I really hope, because I put my heart and soul and so much into this. This is not something I slapped up together. This took me years of work, deep work, working with so many people. This is profound to me. And I really hope you value this. Actually, it's okay if you don't. I do. It's so important to acknowledge ourselves, isn't it? Okay, look. In my office, now I'm in my home now. I don't have an office any longer, but when I did, anybody who came in would see this sign. And it's from this beautiful author, Jane Kirkpatrick. She says, you don't have to climb the mountain today. Only find the footholds that will greet you in the morning. You don't have to graduate today. Only take that first class. You don't have to write a novel, just pen a paragraph. Somehow we seem to think we must be large enough to finish before we first begin. Your faith need not be strong enough to finish, only adequate to embark. We can take the next first step together. And when I read that from her, it was just, it reverberated so deeply in my soul, because I'm a very results-oriented person, and I forget all the steps along the way. I forget the process, and I forget the foundation, and I just focus on the results, and I want them now. And that, if you are like me, will hang you up and will cause significant unhappiness. So I created the assessment, the happiness assessment, so that you could look at areas to build a bridge to true joy, true deep success. And to me, success is essentially following your dreams, being on a path towards your dreams, knowing your values, living and showing up to your life fully. It's not just what's in your bank account. What's in your bank account is a representation of energy, and ultimately that's neutral. So it could be $1 million, and believe me, I have worked with multi-millionaires and even billionaire, and they were so deeply unhappy. when they first came to me. That's why they came to me, right? And it's not that I want people coming to me because they're unhappy. They just know that there's something better, that there's something more, and whoa, something's holding me up. You know, I was a functioning human being for the first 35 years of my life, very functioning, highly functioning, did and accomplished great and amazing things. But until I was 35, I never, ever dealt with the things. For 17 years, I didn't deal with my trauma, the sexual abuse. And I kept it hidden. And it kept festering away, eating me alive from the inside out. I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want it to happen to another soul. It doesn't have to. But I didn't know that I wasn't alone. I didn't know that it wasn't my fault. But I want you to know it is not your fault. You are not alone. And you can absolutely turn this around. You can create a life of joy and fulfillment. Okay, so there's two other lines that's on that plaque that I have. You don't have to be the hero today, only the warrior to fight for your own life. I'm here to hold you in that power. And I hold people in their highest good and best outcome. I don't look at some arbitrary end result, not even for myself anymore. Even though I do have an idea, I don't look for an arbitrary like package. This is what you need to be. This is the number you need to be. Instead, I repeat this mantra. What is my highest good? What is my best outcome? What does that look like? So who do I need to be to show up to that? What do I need to heal? And then I look at every emotion. And I encourage you to do this as well. Every emotion, every sensation, every pain, every symptom that you experience as an opportunity or as a message to you to, what's that message trying to tell you? What's it unlocking for you? What's that step leading you to? So I said I would go over five ways to help with anxiety. And this is again in your book. If you can print it out and put it in a binder, it will serve you. It's so valuable. To this day, I've had this for 12 years. I look at this and go, oh my gosh, this is divine download, like absolutely. And then reading, it's like, oh, thank you. Anyway, okay. So I'm gonna leave it there. I don't even know how long I've been going for, but this is really important. And finding joy beyond trauma is it's more than a book. I took it off Amazon. I don't sell it anymore. I don't even know if anyone has copies anymore. I think sometimes I see them on there and they're selling them for a crazy amount, but only I think however many people got them. I took it off because having a book on a shelf, and I have thousands of them, and I have amazing books, amazing, and I love my books, right? Thousands of these books I've read. They are worthless if we don't use them. So I made a decision to only do the Finding Joy Beyond Trauma stories of healing, strategies for thriving as a course, as something that someone could do with me. And I only really do it twice a year because it's so intensive and it's more of a retreat style. And we aren't doing any retreats or in-person things right now. So I'm probably the next one will be in February. I prefer them. I prefer the first week to be an intensive retreat. And that's how we've been doing it. We'll see what happens, and I'll see what the feedback is like. But in the meantime, this is literally from the book. And I don't know anything better than giving you this to help you right now and to help with your life. So I hope that this does help. I hope that you use this. You can always email me, put yourself on the wait list if you'd like to join my course. This isn't about selling anything because I don't want that to be what this is. It never was intended to that. It was literally like, oh my gosh, this is really important to me, so important to me. I want you to be happy. More than anything, I want people to be happy. And we are making ourselves miserable for no real reason. We must stop. We must stop. So take the assessment, go through the 25. You can create your own action to do, like, okay, I'm going to work on one thing, just one, just take one, whichever one is like the one that seems like, oof, I'm going to work on this one this week, just one. And for the next 25 weeks, work on one and get it to a yes. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I try to do sometimes. I'm going to actually pull this out and be more vigilant about it. But yeah, I hope that helps. I am sending whoosh of love and gratitude for us being able to send out communication through this little thing and through Facebook. I don't love Facebook, but I love that I can send this out, and whomever reaches it, whomever gets it, they'll get it, and I'll put this on YouTube and I'll put it out. And if it works, if it helps you, know that you are not alone. Oh my gosh, you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not. It's not your fault. Just be present, go through those 25 steps, take one action, and start with the one that would help you the most, that would move you in your best direction fastest, and take it from there. And I support you. I hold you in your highest good and your best outcome. Love and light and peace from my heart.